Kelly Van Veen. Please give him a big hand.
This is all impromptu, actually. Someone ended up coming up. Well, actually, Sam even just pitched the idea to me. She asked me, do you have some time to give a speech on autism? And I just said, well, this is all impromptu and everything. And as an Aspie myself, I'm not totally. I actually prefer like having a script in front of me. That's how I normally do it. I even have a speech on autism. If I had that in front of me, I would totally give that out. You can actually even find that on YouTube. Actually, if you look up my name on Google or even on YouTube, Kelly Van Veen, you'll see not only my YouTube channel there. You'll even find SoundCloud, which will have my speech on there, as well as my documentary with Temple Brandon as well. I even did that as well. And you can even find me on LinkedIn as well to see like some of the accomplishments I've made, despite me having such a high-functioning thing that I have, Asperger's syndrome. I had, what else can I say about that? I had it when I was diagnosed, I think around the age of 3, if that sounds about right, but I was never really aware of it until grade 6, when I started discovering that I started being, not necessarily alienated, but so much that I was completely different and thought differently from a lot of my peers. And there were times when they often teased me about things, and they even like took advantage and just, you know, like not so much verbal abuse, but they were just like really mean to me and everything. And but that's not necessarily just because they hated me in particular or anything. It's just because, and I even eventually figured out, it's just they really didn't understand. And so I figured, because in grade 8 we had speech competitions, the oral communications contest, and so I decided, you know what, why don't I put together a speech for autism, and Asperger's syndrome specifically. So I did that, and the day after, that's when the students, they started talking to me, and things I've noticed, like they started asking me questions, they started understanding. Those that did understand me, they started like changing their attitude around me, and they started like treating me nicely. And those that didn't, or like that originally teased me before, they either got to know me a bit more, or they just decided to ignore me altogether. You know, because it's like Ellen DeGeneres said, you just gotta treat everyone kindly, be kind to one another. That's how it works. You know, hey, you know, people with Asperger's, they just might be your boss. You know, like Bill Gates. So, you know, just be aware of that. I guess, of course, that's common sense. You just gotta treat everyone with kindness anyway. That said, from there, I just, with the help of my mom and with the help of my friends around me, and with the help of teachers in particular, I just went on to get like high honors in high school. I even did my speech again in high school, and I ended up going on to places like Aurora, Fenelon Falls, even all the way to Ottawa, where I ended up doing that speech there, and just from there, like, I guess word spread, and just, I think around that time, I think it was about, I don't know what the value was at the time, before the number started going short, if it was like 1 in 160, 1 in, how many with autism?
1 in 1,100.
1 in 1,100, thank you, Mom. 1 in 1,100 kids with, would have autism, and then since that day, as time passed, we ended up learning that the number shrunk, like from 1,000 to 1 to 800. I think the lowest I heard at one point, I could be wrong, but the lowest I heard was 1 in 64 children had autism, and that was pretty shocking. But at the same time, you know, it just goes to show, like, we're really trying to treat this matter seriously. Because before, like, back in like the olden times, you figured like people would just look at you very differently, or put you in an asylum or something, or just even as going back to the mall or grocery store example, like if you see them melting down, they may not necessarily be spoiled or anything. They're not necessarily jerks or anything like that, unless it's the Menace, but that's a different story. For all we know, they could just be misunderstood. The parents themselves, like, even if you see them fretting or anything, they could just be having a very difficult time. They could have it far worse than you. You never know. So just, again, it goes back to so much as just simply saying, do you need help with anything? Do you mind if I help? Or are you okay? Some simple words like those, simple thoughts like those, simple actions, they can go a long way. Again, you gotta treat everyone with kindness. That's how it all works. You go full circle. I could say a lot about autism. Like I said, feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Kelly Van Veen, or even SoundCloud. I'll give more info about it. You can even look up on other sites as well, Autism Speaks, sites like those. Even come to this table for more information, or just they can link you to other places. Just, you know, if you need any more information, don't be afraid to ask. That's just like the students in my school. don't be afraid to ask. Don't judge before, you shouldn't judge people before you get to know them. That's exactly what it's all about. So, and even like with me, with high function autism, like a lot of people wouldn't even suspect that. Even like the people in Ottawa, they said like, we had no idea you had autism. If we'd known, we probably would have treated you a bit different. Like, no, you didn't need to. I want to be treated equally, just like everyone else. I want to be treated with kindness like everyone else, because you know, it's like karma. I do good things for you, and you do good things for me. Like we all just, that's just how it works. Again, like Ellen DeGeneres always says, be kind to one another. Don't be afraid, just ask. All right?
Ella, you got a brilliant speaking career in front of you.